quite honestly, arguing back and forth with a demon who loves this type of energy is so counterintuitive and ridiculous. None of us should ever do it. We should just stay in our own spaces. That is not to say if they show up in your face or get too close or put hands on you that you shouldn't defend yourselves. You should do so by any means necessary. You can stand your ground. I'm not saying all of this so that you don't protect yourself. You should protect yourself. But not arguing with a white supremacist verbally doesn't mean that if they get too physical or all up in your space, that you can't see that as a threat, because that's a threat to me. I'm sure that every racial atrocity that's ever been perpetrated against us was preceded by verbal shit, by racist verbal shit. So if they're in your face doing it, I would believe that they're about to do something that could end my life. And that's the way I see it. But we don't initiate that. What we should not be doing is initiating that physical altercation because they called us some goofy name or some shit that they've been saying for several hundred years. None of us should lose our lives or go to jail or anything else or give them any reason to take our freedom away just because somebody said some corny ass racist shit to us, unless they're all up in our personal space. We don't need to be that sensitive, and we don't need to engage in every battle when it comes to that type of thing. Sometimes our egos get in the way of doing productive work. So we need to engage in the battle of ideas at our own pace, in our own spaces. When you see a video that was going to be some racially charged shit, then just scroll by. Just keep scrolling by. You're not going to change anyone's minds that are already in that space. You're not going to be able to talk sense into a person who was created to be the racist pieces of shit that they are. You're not going to change their mind. You're in their space. That's where they go to gather. That's like jumping in a pig pen, right? And trying to teach pigs how to be clean and not eat blue and eat themselves. What's the point? You're not going to change their minds. You're just not. So I would see a video somewhere where a racist would say some bullshit that was not true, and then go make a reaction video to counter the misinformation, but not to get into their threads and going back and forth with some bot or some clown who's living on the last $50 for the last month, because most of these are broke. Excuse my language. So don't get into arguments with people who live in flyover states who really only seen 3 or 4 black people in their entire lives, or they all can't rub 2 nickels together to make a buck. Don't get into it with them. You're not changing anything. Just remember the Bible says that every man will have to be judged by every utterance that comes out of their mouths. So anything you come across that a white supremacist says when they're walking around in front of a camera saying some goofy shit, we've heard that shit before for hundreds of years already. Just understand that there's a record being created. There's a record being created if you believe in such a thing by the Most High God, Yahweh. Okay? So with that being said, don't give any of these white supremacists your energy. Let them scream against the wall and to each other. They're doing it anyway. Time could be better spent teaching and bolstering and creating an environment for ourselves. That's what we need to be doing. We have to be strong. We have to teach ourselves to be strong. We have to teach our children to be strong. We have to counter all the misinformation, and we know what that is. Not going back and forth in their threads. We have to teach our kids how to make a more powerful future for themselves. And we need to do that in our own spaces. We don't need to be going back and forth with men and women who you're not going to change. So watch yourself, take care of yourself. Think about what happened to you, the dude that got into it, that Chud the Builder guy. You don't want to lose your life just because this idiot said something to you. That's silly. Sticks and stones. Sticks and stones. Look, we as African Americans, so-called African Americans, Israelites, whatever you call yourselves, we need to be able to do what we need to do without putting ourselves at risk for bodily harm and going to jail. Get on the internet if you want to be on the internet and create videos of your own, telling Black history, saying the right things to the people that are going to hear it.